What if I told you there's an action so simple you could do it twice a day, and that would be enough for your body to recover the testosterone levels you had at 25 years old? No injections, no medications, no complicated routines, no miracle supplements, just real tangible, measurable results. It sounds like fantasy, but it's not. My name is Dr. Mario Alonso, and I've spent over 3 decades helping men over 60 reconnect with their energy, inner strength, and self-esteem in a completely natural way. I'm not here to promise magical solutions or offer commercial formulas disguised as hope. I'm here to share something that has worked for thousands of people and for myself as well. Because yes, even after 60, 70 or more, it's possible to awaken the body and make it function like in youth. Many believe that to achieve this, you have to resort to artificial hormones. But the truth is different. The key lies in understanding how to reactivate the internal mechanisms that are still there, just dormant from years of stress and modern environment. What I'm going to explain to you in the next few minutes is a simple practical method that you can incorporate right now, a practice that if you do it morning and night can naturally reactivate testosterone production, protect your current levels and make your body feel alive again. We're not just talking about a physical boost. We're talking about renewed energy, mental clarity, active desire, and a vitality that many believe is lost forever. And the best part is that toward the end of this presentation, I'm going to reveal a little-known natural compound that is already transforming the lives of thousands of men. Most have never heard of it. Let's start at the beginning, the silent decline. It's a process so slow and subtle that it often goes unnoticed until we're already immersed in it. It usually occurs after 45, although it can start earlier. At first you notice it's harder to get up with enthusiasm. Your body doesn't respond the same way. Fatigue accumulates faster. Sleep is no longer deep, and that inner spark that always accompanied you seems to have gone out. And that's where many men start to doubt, is this what aging is? Is this the new normal? In my practice, I've heard these questions many times. I've seen men who were soldiers, successful entrepreneurs, passionate athletes, sit in front of me with a lost look, feeling like a shadow of who they used to be. It's not easy to accept that something inside you no longer vibrates like before. And here's where I want to be very clear. It's not your fault. This deterioration has nothing to do with weakness or lack of character. It's a biological process. With the passage of time, especially after 60, testosterone levels can decrease by up to 60% compared to youth. But no one prepares us for this. No one tells us that plastics, processed foods, lack of sleep, and constant stress are factors that weaken our hormonal system without us even realizing it. I remember a patient of mine, Robert, a 64-year-old former construction foreman who built shopping malls across 3 states. When he first walked into my office, his shoulders were hunched, his voice barely above a whisper, and he couldn't look me in the eye. He told me he used to wake up at 5 a.m. ready to tackle any challenge, used to command respect from crews of 50 men, used to feel like a lion. Now he said he felt like he was disappearing from his own life, watching it happen, but powerless to stop it. Robert's story isn't unique. I've heard variations of it hundreds of times. Men who once felt invincible, who took pride in their strength, their decisiveness, their ability to provide and protect, suddenly finding themselves questioning everything about who they are. However, there is hope. Your body hasn't forgotten what it means to be strong. It hasn't lost the ability to recover its vitality. It just needs the right tools, the right signals, the right environment to remember what it's capable of. And that's exactly what we're going to discover together from now on. I want to show you how a daily gesture in the mornings can be the first step to reverse this entire process. If you've made it this far, and something I'm saying resonates with you, leave a comment. I want to know that you're not alone, and that we're together on this journey. Now let's continue with what's coming. When we talk about testosterone, many immediately think of sex or big muscles, but the truth goes much further. This hormone is the invisible engine of willpower, mental clarity, and emotional strength in men. I've seen how its decline affects all aspects of life, not just intimacy, but in the way one walks, in the energy with which one presents themselves to the world, in emotional connection with others. There are men who tell me they now feel exhausted, even with simple tasks. Others say they've lost concentration, initiative, the ability to get excited or to make decisions firmly. And all of that, although it may not seem like it is deeply linked to testosterone. I always tell them that this hormone is like the body's voice saying, "I'm still here, I still have strength, I'm still present." It's what sustains muscle mass, protects bones, sharpens memory, drives ambition, and keeps desire alive even after 60. That's why understanding its importance and knowing how to stimulate its natural production can mark a before and after in your life. And that's exactly what you're about to discover. It's not just about the physical, but also the emotional. When testosterone levels are balanced, it's as if everything inside you fits back together. You recover the desire to move, to laugh more, often to feel like yourself again. Let me tell you about testosterone's role in ways most doctors never explain. This hormone doesn't just affect your muscles or your libido. It's the biochemical foundation of confidence itself. When your testosterone is optimal, you walk into a room differently. You make eye contact differently. You speak with authority that comes from deep within, not from trying to compensate for something missing. I've watched men transform, not just physically, but in ways that are almost mystical. Their wives notice it first. They'll say things like, "He's back. The man I married is back." Their children notice too. Suddenly, Dad's advice carries weight again. His presence fills the room again. One of my patients, a 67-year-old man named Thomas, told me something I'll never forget. "I don't want to feel like I'm disappearing from my own story." That phrase touched me deeply because I understood the weight of what he was saying. He wasn't just talking about his body, but about his identity, his presence in the world. And the most powerful thing was knowing that we could reverse that feeling. After just 2 months applying the correct protocol, he was sleeping deeply again, laughing naturally, and rediscovered a spark he thought he had lost forever. He started taking long walks again, something he hadn't done in 5 years. He rejoined his Thursday night poker game with old friends. Most importantly, he began making plans for the future again, talking about places he wanted to visit, things he wanted to build. Because that's the truth, you don't have to disappear, not now, not ever. And what I'm going to show you next could be the simplest and most powerful way to turn that truth into reality. I'm going to take you directly to the heart of the method, the 2-moment daily testosterone protocol. This is where everything becomes clear, tangible, and possible. After decades working with men of 60, 70, and even 80 years old, I understood that the body responds better to consistency, not complexity. That's why this protocol, as simple as it is effective, has transformed lives. I've seen men recover their energy, their sexual desire, their mental focus, and even more importantly, that feeling of having a clear purpose. And it all starts in the morning. I always tell my patients to turn breakfast into a sacred ritual for their hormones. Start with 2 complete egg yolks, yes, with cholesterol, because that's precisely where the raw material your body needs to produce testosterone comes from. Then 1 Brazil nut, which is full of selenium, a key mineral that protects the testicles and boosts hormonal production. Add to that a tablespoon of raw pumpkin seeds, which provide zinc, the mineral that acts as a guardian, preventing testosterone from transforming into estrogen. This breakfast isn't just any meal, it's a direct message to your body saying, strength and vitality are priorities again. Let me explain why each of these ingredients is crucial. The egg yolks provide cholesterol. And I know what you're thinking, you've been told cholesterol is bad, but that's only partially true. Dietary cholesterol, especially from high-quality sources like pasture-raised eggs, is essential for hormone production. Your body literally cannot make testosterone without adequate cholesterol. The Brazil nut provides selenium, and here's something fascinating: just 1 Brazil nut contains more selenium than most people get in a week. Selenium is like oil in an engine. It allows all the hormonal machinery to run smoothly. The pumpkin seeds provide zinc, and zinc deficiency is epidemic among older men. Without adequate zinc, an enzyme called aromatase converts your precious testosterone into estrogen. Zinc blocks this conversion, keeping your testosterone where it belongs. At night, the protocol continues with something even simpler: a small amount of wild yam cream applied to the skin, just what covers the fingertips. It may seem too easy to be true, but the natural compounds in wild yam help gently awaken the endocrine system, pushing the body to reactivate its processes. Wild yam contains testosterone in a compound that serves as a precursor to several hormones. When applied transdermally, it bypasses the digestive system and enters the bloodstream directly where it can be converted into the hormones your body needs most. I've had patients call me weeks later, excited, telling me how they felt something inside them had returned. One even told me laughing, "Doctor, I have the arrogance of a 30-year-old and the wisdom not to waste it." Another patient, James, a 72-year-old retired teacher, called me after 3 weeks and said, "Doc, I woke up this morning and realized I was humming. I haven't hummed in 10 years. I didn't even realize I'd stopped." These might seem like small things, but they're not. They're signals that the deep fundamental systems in your body are coming back online. But what really makes this protocol work isn't just what you do, but also what you stop doing. Because it's very likely that something in your daily routine is silently sabotaging your testosterone without you knowing it. And the most disturbing thing is that this hidden enemy could be right now in your own kitchen. Many wonder, why does this work? Why would something so simple have a real impact? And I understand that doubt. At a certain age, we've heard enough promises to fill an entire lifetime, but this isn't an illusion or an exaggeration. It's pure science, biology. Your body was designed to produce testosterone. That capacity doesn't disappear, it just goes dormant from lack of the right elements. Let me explain it as I do with my patients. Testosterone is manufactured from cholesterol. That's why egg yolks are fundamental. They're the base building block. But it also needs zinc and selenium. These aren't just nutrients with strange names in a bottle, they're like sparks that ignite the hormonal engine. Without them, everything slows down, shuts off. Zinc, for example, protects your testosterone from being destroyed too quickly, ensuring your body can use it effectively and maintain its effects longer. Selenium is an essential mineral that plays a silent but crucial role. It directly helps your testicle cells manufacture testosterone. It's not magic, it's pure science, intelligently applied biochemistry. Here's what happens at the cellular level when you provide these nutrients consistently. Your Leydig cells, the testosterone-producing cells in your testicles, have been essentially starved of the raw materials they need. When you suddenly provide cholesterol, zinc, and selenium in the right ratios, it's like giving water to a desert plant. The cells don't just survive, they thrive. Production ramps up, but more importantly, the testosterone you produce is protected from the enzymes that would normally break it down too quickly. In this context, wild yam doesn't act as an external hormone, but as a gentle reminder to your body, a natural way of telling it that it's time to rebalance its hormonal system on its own. When you improve your diet and reduce stress, your cortisol level, the famous stress hormone, begins to drop, especially at night. And in that space of calm, your testosterone finds fertile ground to increase. Both hormones work like a seesaw. When one goes up too much, the other goes down. That's why creating the right conditions is so powerful. Many men are surprised to see how small adjustments trigger profound transformations, not just in their lab results, but in how they feel when they wake up, how they look at themselves in the mirror, how they enjoy their own body, their energy, their life again. Just as it's vital to understand what drives testosterone production, it's also fundamental to know what sabotages it, because many times, without knowing it, we're slowing our progress every day. Now I want to talk to you about something you probably have at home, something you've used today without realizing the invisible damage it can cause. I've seen men who were doing everything right: good diet, adequate supplements, stable sleep routine, and yet their hormonal levels remained low. Why? Because they were constantly exposed to one of testosterone's worst enemies, endocrine disruptors, and these most of the time come through something as common as plastic. That water bottle you've refilled several times, the container you heated, your lunch in the microwave, the flexible plastic covering your food in the fridge. All these objects can contain substances like BPA or phthalates, compounds that mimic estrogen inside the body. For a man already dealing with age-related hormonal decline, it's like throwing cold water on a spark trying to reignite. These chemicals are called xenoestrogens, foreign estrogens that your body can't distinguish from the real thing. They bind to your hormone receptors and create havoc in your endocrine system. I've treated men who were doing everything right but saw no improvement until they replaced those plastic containers with glass or stainless steel ones and stopped heating. Food in plastic materials. The difference was brutal. In just weeks, energy changed, the mind was clearer, vitality returned. And it wasn't because they had added something new, but because they had stopped sabotaging themselves without knowing it. What enters the body matters, but what you eliminate can be even more determining. Let me give you a specific example. Michael, a 59-year-old accountant, came to me after 6 months of following every testosterone-boosting protocol he could find online. His levels had barely budged. When I questioned him about his daily habits, I discovered he was drinking 4 bottles of water a day from single-use plastic bottles and heating his lunch every day in plastic containers. Within 2 weeks of switching to a stainless steel water bottle and glass containers, his energy levels shot up. Within a month, his testosterone levels had increased by 35%. The only thing that changed was removing the endocrine disruptors. After so many years in medicine, I understood that most men don't need more complex solutions. What they need is clarity to know precisely what to do each day so the body works in their favor again. That's the purpose of this plan. It's not complicated, it's direct, and most importantly, it works. Each morning, even before looking at your phone or getting out of bed, give your body the fuel it hasn't received in years. 2 egg yolks cooked on low heat. Yes, with their cholesterol intact. 1 whole Brazil nut. 1 tablespoon of raw pumpkin seeds. This isn't just breakfast, it's hormonal therapy from your own kitchen. You're providing the fundamental building blocks: cholesterol to manufacture hormone selenium, to activate the cells that produce them, and zinc to protect that newly created testosterone. After that move, you don't need to run a marathon. With a light walk of a few minutes, you're already getting your blood circulating. And where there's circulation, there's oxygen, nutrients, and renewal. I always say that movement doesn't just feed the body, it also feeds the mind and hormones. What you do in the first hour of the day sends a clear message to the body. I'm still here and I keep moving forward. The morning walk doesn't have to be intense. In fact, gentle movement is better for hormone production than intense exercise, which can actually increase cortisol and suppress testosterone if overdone. A 15-20-minute walk in fresh air, preferably in sunlight, accomplishes multiple things. It circulates the nutrients you just consumed, it reduces cortisol, it stimulates vitamin D production if there's sun, and it sends a signal to your circadian rhythm that the day has begun. And when night comes, just take 1 minute to apply the wild yam cream, a small amount, the size of a fingertip, gently rubbed on the inner part of the arm or chest. That simple gesture becomes your second daily message. To the body, a silent but powerful signal that it's time to restore balance, to return to center. The timing of this application is crucial. Your body's hormone production follows circadian rhythms, with testosterone production peaking in the early morning hours. By applying the wild yam cream at night, you're supporting this natural cycle. Stay hydrated, sleep deeply, avoid plastic use, keep sugar to a minimum. And that's it. You don't need to change your entire life to see results. You just need to adjust course, realign your habits. Small decisions repeated consistently that over time cause enormous transformation. But beyond the structure and discipline, there's an essential ingredient that converts those actions into true and lasting change. It's not something you eat or apply to your skin. It's something you feel, an internal spark that, when absent, causes many men to stay stuck, but when activated, drives them to free themselves completely. I need you to listen to this carefully and internalize it deeply. You're still a man. The passage of time didn't take that away from you. Aging doesn't erase your essence. You may feel on certain days that you're slowly disappearing, that your energy is no longer the same, that confidence has diluted, and that your purpose became confusing. But none of that has disappeared. It's still there, hidden under layers of fatigue, stress, years of demands, and social messages that told you to simply accept decline. I've sat in front of men who led companies, crossed marathon finish lines, raised entire families, and who now barely recognize the man they see in the mirror. They believe that emptiness is what aging means, but it's not. What happens is that the flame isn't extinguished, it's waiting patiently for you to light it again. And believe me, when that happens, when you recover strength in your body, clarity in your mind, and desire in your soul, something inside you awakens. You remember who you really are. Because this isn't just about testosterone, It's about identity, about purpose, about feeling that silent pride that comes from being at peace with yourself, from fully inhabiting your body, your history, and your present. I've seen men of 60, 70, and even older recover their vitality, not because they found a miracle, but because they decided to believe that strength still lived in them and acted accordingly. There exists a natural compound that rarely appears in conventional conversations about men's health. However, in my practice, I've seen it change lives silently, one after another. It's maca root. This plant, cultivated in the heights of the Andes since ancestral times, has been used for centuries by indigenous peoples to increase endurance, energy, and yes, vitality. What makes maca special isn't that it forces the body to produce more testosterone. What it does is much wiser. It helps your entire hormonal system find its balance. Maca works as an adaptogen, meaning it helps your body adapt to stress and maintain homeostasis. It strengthens the endocrine system, reduces stress, impact, improves mood, and gently awakens sexual desire. But here's what's fascinating about maca. It doesn't just increase testosterone, it optimizes the entire hormonal cascade. It supports healthy cortisol levels, improves thyroid function, and enhances the sensitivity of your hormone receptors. This means the hormones you do produce work more effectively. I've had patients who started with just 1 teaspoon a day in their smoothies or breakfast, and weeks later returned, telling me they felt more alive, more awake, more themselves. One of them, 71 years old, told me it was like walking with all the lights on inside. And it wasn't just something physical. Emotionally, he also felt different. He laughed more, slept better, and for the first time in years, felt a real connection with his wife again, a closeness that had silently disappeared over time. That's what true vitality does. It doesn't just reactivate the body, it brings you back to your life. Maca is safe, natural, accessible, and easy to incorporate into your routine. And when you combine it with all the habits you've learned so far, it becomes the final piece of a powerful puzzle that can transform your present and rewrite your story from today. Sometimes it's not the big transformations that change a life, but the small decisions that are repeated day after day. Those silent, almost invisible habits are the ones that over time provoke the greatest results. After so many years accompanying men in this transformation, I've heard the same doubts many times. Some are born from hope, others from skepticism, and all are valid. One of the first that always appears is this really safe for someone my age? And the answer is yes. Everything we've mentioned, natural foods, essential nutrients, wild yam cream, and maca root, is designed to work with your body, not against it. Still, I always encourage my patients to talk with their doctor because every body has its history. But from my experience, I can say with absolute honesty that this approach has helped more men than I could count, men who arrived exhausted without motivation and who gradually recovered not just their energy, but their enthusiasm for life. Another common question is, how long does it take to notice a difference? And the truth is, it varies. Some men notice changes in just 2 weeks, others around 2 months. But when transformation comes, it's real: more energy, better sleep, mental clarity, a deeper connection with themselves and those around them. One of my patients told me the first thing he noticed was that he started waking up before the alarm clock. Something so simple but so powerful. That hadn't happened to him in over 10 years. That type of change doesn't show up in a blood test. It's felt, it's lived. And yes, many also ask me where to find good quality maca root or wild yam. My recommendation is always to start with natural product stores or trusted online brands. Look for pure versions without additives. Simple is what works best. If you're asking these questions, it means you're committed to doing this right. That already says a lot about you. If you've read this far, there's something I need to tell you with sincerity. And from the heart, you've already taken the most important step. You decided not to disappear silently. And that has more value than you imagine. Because everything we've talked about, the way to feed yourself to avoid plastics, to apply the cream to move every day, to incorporate maca, only has real power when you believe you're still worth fighting for. And you are worth it. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen how everything changes when a man decides to show up again. I've seen shoulders straighten, gazes light up, voices recover their firmness, not by a miracle, but by simple choices repeated consistently. Twice a day, the egg yolks, the seeds, the yam, all of that are tools. But the real transformation occurs when a man from the deepest part decides to say, I want to feel like myself again, and then does something about it. So let me remind you what we've discovered together. Testosterone isn't just a number or hormonal marker. It's an expression of strength, of drive, of connection with yourself. Losing it doesn't mean you've lost who you are, and recovering it goes far beyond biology. It's about reclaiming your place in your own life. I hope this journey has given you clarity, confidence, and above all, a spark of possibility. Because I believe you're capable of much more than you were ever told. This is your time. And you haven't finished. You know exactly what you have to do twice a day, every day. Now there's only one question left to answer. Are you going to start?